It's 11 at night, and you're lying in bed with your phone 6 inches from your face. You didn't even mean to open the app. Your thumb just did it before your brain caught up, and now you're scrolling past a friend's beach vacation, a stranger's promotion, an ex's new relationship, someone's kitchen renovation that looks better than any room you've ever lived in. Your chest tightens a little. You tell yourself it's nothing, close the app, and lie there feeling strangely worse than you did 5 minutes ago, like your whole life just got quietly downgraded while you weren't looking. But the real reason you feel that way has almost nothing to do with any of those people. It's far stranger than that. Something in your brain just ran a calculation it was never built to run, using numbers that were never real in the first place. Here's what's actually happening. In 1954, a psychologist named Leon Festinger proposed something that sounds almost too simple to matter. Humans, he argued, don't know how good or bad their lives are in isolation. There's no built-in ruler for successful or attractive or happy, so your brain does the next best thing. It looks around at other people and measures you against them instead. Festinger called this social comparison theory, and decades of research since have confirmed it again and again. You don't evaluate your life on its own terms. You evaluate it relative to someone else's. That's not a flaw. For most of human existence, it was actually useful. Your brain evolved to measure you against the 10 or 20 people you could actually see in a village, a workplace, a family gathering, a small, knowable group. A fair comparison, more or less, because everyone in it was living a real, unfiltered life right in front of you. Now open your phone. Suddenly you're not comparing yourself to 20 people anymore. You're comparing yourself to thousands, and not to their actual lives either. You're comparing yourself to the single best 4 seconds of their week, selected out of hundreds of ordinary moments, filtered, cropped, captioned, and uploaded specifically because it was the best 4 seconds they had. Psychologists call this an upward social comparison, which just means measuring yourself against someone who appears to be doing better than you in a category that matters to you. Your brain doesn't distinguish between this person's whole life and this person's single best moment. It just registers one simple thing: they're up here, you're down here. Close the gap. Why does that feel so personal? In 2013, a researcher named Ethan Kross ran a study at the University of Michigan that measured something most research on social media had never actually tracked before. Not what people said about how Facebook made them feel afterward, but how they actually felt, in real time, while they were living their normal week. His team texted participants several times a day for 2 weeks, asking 2 simple questions. How do you feel right now? And how much Facebook have you used since the last text? The results were uncomfortable. The more people used Facebook between one check-in and the next, the worse they reported feeling by the following check-in, not the other way around. People weren't opening the app because they already felt bad and wanted comfort. They felt bad afterward, specifically because of what the scrolling did to them. Think about what that means. You open the app looking for connection. You get a scoreboard instead. And the cruelest part is that the scoreboard isn't even measuring the other person's real life. Ask anyone who's ever posted a picture-perfect vacation photo what happened 5 minutes before or after it was taken, and you'll usually hear about a fight in the car, a bad hotel room, a headache, plain boredom. The highlight reel isn't exactly a lie. It's just radically incomplete. You're comparing your full, messy, ordinary Tuesday, the one with the dishes and the traffic and the mildly stressful email, against someone else's single curated highlight, and somehow your brain treats that comparison as fair. It isn't fair. It was never fair. There's a second layer underneath this one, and it's the part almost nobody notices. Every time you check the app and find something worth seeing, a little chemical reward fires in your brain, the same kind of reward that keeps a gambler pulling a slot machine lever. Psychologists call this a variable reward, meaning you never know in advance whether this particular scroll will deliver something exciting or something boring, and that uncertainty is exactly what makes you check again. So you're not just comparing yourself to strangers. You're doing it inside a system specifically engineered to make you keep pulling the lever, one more time, one more scroll, in case the next 4 seconds are worse than the last. Here's the counterintuitive part. The algorithm sitting underneath all of this isn't neutral. It isn't showing you your friends' lives in the order they happened. It's actively selecting the content most likely to keep you scrolling, and that content, again and again, tends to be the most extreme version of other people's happiness, beauty, wealth, or success. You're not just comparing yourself to your friends' best moments anymore. You're comparing yourself to a machine-curated highlight reel of the most enviable 4 seconds pulled from thousands of strangers' lives, optimized specifically because envy, it turns out, keeps people scrolling longer than contentment does. So the real question isn't why do you compare? Everyone compares. Humans have always compared. The real question is why this particular kind of comparison feels so much worse than the version your grandparents grew up with. The answer is scale and speed. A person in 1985 might feel a pang of envy seeing a neighbor's new car, maybe once a week. A person today can feel that same pang 40 or 50 times before breakfast, each one a fresh hit, each one measured against a life that was never real to begin with, and each one arriving faster than the last one has even finished fading. And here's something worth sitting with. The person posting that beach photo is very likely doing the exact same thing you are, an hour later, scrolling past someone else's highlight reel and feeling the same tightening in their chest. Nobody actually wins this particular game. Everyone is simultaneously performing a highlight reel for someone else and losing a comparison against somebody else's highlight reel, often within the same 10 minutes. Here's the part that should actually make you feel better, though. If this mechanism is driven by exposure, by scale, by how much manufactured comparison you're feeding your brain, then it isn't some permanent flaw baked into who you are. It's reversible. In 2018, a researcher named Melissa Hunt ran an experiment at the University of Pennsylvania that tested exactly that idea. She split college students into two groups. One group kept using social media exactly as they normally would. The other group limited their use to about 30 minutes a day total, split across 3 platforms for 3 weeks. That's the entire intervention. No therapy, no major life change, just less exposure to other people's highlight reels. By the end of 3 weeks, the limited use group showed significant drops in loneliness and depression compared to where they'd started. Notice what that actually tells you. It wasn't that those students' real lives improved in 3 weeks. Their apartments were the same. Their relationships were the same. Their bank accounts were the same. What changed was how often their brains ran the comparison calculation and how much raw material they were feeding it every single day. Which brings you back to 11 at night, phone 6 inches from your face. You are not, in that moment, actually failing at life. You are running an ancient measuring instrument against modern, manufactured data. And the instrument doesn't know the difference. It sees a beach, a promotion, a beautiful kitchen, and it quietly files you under behind. It doesn't ask how that photo was staged. It doesn't ask what happened 5 minutes before the shutter clicked. It doesn't know the person who posted it is, right now, scrolling past someone else's highlight reel too. It just measures the way it's measured for as long as humans have lived near other humans. Except now the sample size is infinite and the selection is rigged. Next time you feel that tightness in your chest scrolling through someone else's week, try naming it, even just in your head. That's not their life. That's 4 seconds of it, chosen because it was the best 4 seconds they had. You are comparing your whole self to someone else's highlight reel, and highlight reels, by definition, don't include the parts that look like your normal Tuesday. Your brain is not broken for doing this. It's doing exactly what it was built to do in an environment it was never built for. It's 11 at night, and you're lying in bed with your phone 6 inches from your face, and this time, you notice the scoreboard for what it actually is. A machine showing you someone else's best moment and quietly asking you to measure your whole life against it. You close the app. You don't feel behind anymore. You just feel like someone who finally saw the game being played and decided not to keep score.